So I was on Facebook Marketplace the other day and I saw this and couldn't resist buying it just to have a play with it. So it's a Masterlock padlock. This round design is called a puck lock, I think because it's like an ice hockey puck, typically used for securing van doors. We've got a single key which turns like that, and then this bit releases, doesn't come all the way out because I think we've got this little grub screw there. Anyway, but that's the part that locks the door. We don't have any security pins in this. I think if I was looking at van security, I would choose something that did have security pins in it and was a little bit tougher than this particular lock. Anyway, the reason I got it is because it came with the shackle. Now, this is the shackle here. These would be bolted onto your van doors like that, and then your van doors can open. And then when you want to secure it, as I say, we've got that sort of bolt which comes through there, and that goes through this hole here. So if we put this in the locked position, there you go, and then your van doors can't open in theory. Now, what this presents for me as a picker is a kind of interesting problem in that if this was secured and I did want to open it, my access is very much restricted. So we use two tools to pick open locks. We use a lock pick and we also use a tensioner. And both of those tools, it kind of creates problems for us. So typically in this lock, I would use, if it was not on, not on the van and on this bracket, I would use the top of the keyway like that, and to open it we've got to turn that core clockwise. And as you can see, let me just put the other end in, make it a bit easier for myself. As you can see, as we put sort of clockwise force on that, we hit this bracket just here, and that makes tensioning the lock slightly problematic. The other tool we would use is this hook, and get it in the keyway like that to pick all the pins. But as you can see, I'm restricted on exactly how I can hold the pick. Normally I'd hold the pick like this, and yeah, I can't get in there like that. I can, of course, we'd have a van door here. So yeah, it just makes it very awkward to get in. So I sort of thought I'd challenge myself to picking this, not quite in situ, it's not on a van, it's not outside, I'm not in the pouring rain. But certainly sort of it makes it very awkward to pick it at this sort of angle. So I think the first thing I'm going to do with this, I have picked it before. I did feature this on one of my short videos, in which I did rake this open quite quickly, being a Masterlock and not having any security pins. But it was actually really difficult to single pin pick. I put it in the vise, I was able to single pin pick it, but the pins are very crusty. I think this particular lock has been outside in the elements, as you can see. You've got sort of, I don't know if it's mineral deposits or dust or something like that. And that means that the pins don't slide around as well as they should. So I thought we would lube this one up. Now, I don't usually lube up locks. This is WD-40, but it is anti-friction dry PTFE. I'm not sponsored by these people. But it is used for locks. It's a dry PTFE, which means that we're going to sort of spray it in there, and it's not going to stay wet and gunky and attract dirt and dust, and which kind of stops the lock from functioning. But what it will do is it will just lube up those pins a little bit. If I get the key, work that in there, give it a turn, and that should just make those pins slide freely again, which hopefully will make it easier to pick. I think what I'm going to do is give you a better camera angle so you can see what I'm doing, and we'll try a few different ways to pick this padlock. Okay, hopefully you've got a pretty good view there. Now, there are different types of tensioners that you can use. I've got one from Multipick and one from Lock. As you can see, the Multipick one's a little bit shorter, and I think that gives us a little bit more leverage. Yeah, I can just put a bit more tension on it. Now, Masterlocks do require a lot of tension, so I'm just going to sort of jam that to the floor and hope that's enough to help us get this picked. And then I've got this, it's quite a deep hook, that one. And I'm going to go off the bottom of the keyway. So typically to pick Masterlocks, you just want to ramp up the tension, feel for binders and set them, and you don't need to worry about any security pins. Let me just feel for a binder instead of talking to you. I've got to say that since I put that PTFE spray in there, these pins feel much freer. They felt very crusty before, didn't slide up very well, which will make picking lock like this harder. Getting a few clicks. Hopefully we're close. So click on 1, 3. That's 5. Felt like there was a little bit of movement there, so I think we've probably only got one more pin to set. There we go. Now that tensioner just dropped all the way down. I'm going to carefully reach in. There we go. The lock turned. Yeah, usually when you pick a lock, just grabbing this one here, you get a nice turn all the way around and it opens, but of course we can't do that with this one. So I just felt the tensioner kind of drop a little bit, reached in and fished out that keyway. Okay, let's try another attack. So next we're going to go in with a rake. I've got this wave rake here, and that's just going to randomly jiggle all those pins, hopefully until we get the open. I think I'm going to stick with top of the keyway tensioner, and then hopefully that gives me enough room to kind of jiggle those pins enough to get at the open. That fell out. Let's try that in the bottom of the keyway, see if that's any better. Just jams in there. Gives us better access to the pins, I think. And also means if we do get it open, which we did really quickly, that core is allowed to turn. And yeah, we've got the open. So next up, let's try the EPG. So EPG stands for electronic pick gun, which this one is. This is the Kronos from Multipick. It's got a little button just there, and it just pushes all the pins up. The pins would be where my finger is. It just bounces them all up out the way randomly, and hopefully at some point you'll just hit the shear line and the lock will open. I think we'll stick with bottom of the keyway, and we'll stick it in this way, and I'm just going to sort of pulse it a couple of times, and each time I do, just give that core a little wobble. I don't think this is going to take long. There you go. What was that? 5 little pulses. I think we can afford to do that again. Just make sure he's locked up. Put him inside. That was only 2 that time. And once again, we got him open. So the EPG worked very quickly. The wave rake worked almost as fast. And even single pin picking wasn't as much of a challenge as I was expecting, with the awkward hand position after we lubed the lock. And that's the important point, because when I first got this padlock, and I thought I'd do a little sort of practice pick prior to the video, I could not get it open single pin picking in this position, you know, with that kind of restricted movement. With all of those pins being jammed up, I couldn't feel the feedback. I was probably oversetting the pins. I tried taking it out of this bracket and fixing it in a vise as I normally would pick locks, and I did manage to get it open, but it was a little bit of a struggle. But it's just worth remembering that lubing up those pins, getting everything moving freely, means that tools like these, whichever approach you take on it, makes the job a hell of a lot easier. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that today. I'm going to leave a little DMAC logo up in the corner there. Hit that and you will subscribe, which is always appreciated. And don't forget to leave a like on the video. And I will see you on the next one.